Welcome into a brand new edition of the 06010 ESPN Communications Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Fuse, and we have one of the busiest people in sports joining the podcast today, Shams Charania. Shams, senior NBA insider here with ESPN. And before we get started, Shams, I know you are a big basketball fan, and my friends over with the college basketball team passed me these chocolates for Valentine's Day. No love lost this Saturday. We got a big slate on ABC. Again, we got the celebrity game Friday night going into Valentine's Day, which you'll be playing in. So we're going to get into that in a second. But Kansas, Iowa State, Kentucky versus Florida. Then on the women's side, we got college game day on site ahead of South Carolina, LSU. When you hear that slate on Saturday, Shams, what first jumps out to you?
Obviously, Darren Peterson jumps out at me, and I think there's so much excitement going into the NBA draft this upcoming year. How top heavy this draft is, but also, as far as elite players, does it resemble the 2003 NBA draft? But then, even as you go on in it, like there's teams that are very excited to have a pick in the 20s this year. Just how deep that draft is. So we're going to see a bunch of players, obviously, on Saturday playing that game, and shout out Christine Williamson, Andrea Carter, Chiney Ogwumike, who I work with a lot on the NBA side, and Christine, I do a lot of Sports Center hits with as well. Just an amazing job. I love watching them on college game day on the women's side, so it's fun.
They do such a great job, but let's get into what you'll be doing this weekend. Friday night, you'll be participating in the NBA All-Star Celebrity Game. Walk me through, when you first heard the news you were playing in this game, what came to mind?
I mean, it was something that I grew up watching, and I never thought I'd ever be playing in it in my life. So it's obviously an honor, but it was like always a dream. When I first started on this path in 2012 and 2013, I was never thinking about playing a celebrity game. But as I kept going on and on in my career, especially once I got to ESPN, it was always kind of this fun thing that if I could ever put myself in position to do, or if ESPN and the NBA and whoever decides all that, if they would want me and welcome me, I would love to be a part of it. So last year, being my first year at ESPN, it was obviously very hectic. Getting comfortable in a new environment, in a new company. Everyone's been so welcoming, and so for me to feel comfortable that first year, enough now in year two to do it. I'm thankful to people that I work with, but I mean, I was just honored because it was just something that I dreamt about growing up. It was something that, I never thought I would ever be able to actually play in. And so now to be able to grace the court with, a bunch of people that, I admire from afar, other people that have NBA tie-ins, whether it's Matt Ishbia, Rick Schnall on the ownership levels with Phoenix and Charlotte. There's so many people that I'm excited to play with and against this year as well.
Well, when you look at that roster, who are you looking forward to most playing with or against?
So I was just looking at the list. And so when I just look at my team specifically, first of all, shout out Giannis and his brothers, Alex and Thanasis, as coaches. Is going to be very interesting to see how they divvy up the responsibilities on the sideline. Like, is Thanasi going to be more the coach than Giannis? Like, I want to see who takes more of the defensive and offensive side of the ball. But when I look at the roster, I'm very excited to play with Keegan Michael Key. I've heard he's pretty decent. And then, when you have Taco Fall 7'5", 7'6" on your team, I mean, to me, that's like an easy lob threat, post player threat. So I'm excited to play with him. Jeremy Lin, obviously, I covered when he was playing the NBA. So he's right off the bat someone that's going to, I think, have probably one of the better players on the court, if not the best player on the court, along with Taco. And then Glorilla's on our team. So she's got some NBA tie-in as well with Brandon Ingram. So that's just a few players. And then on the other side, Matt Ishbia, like I just mentioned, Keenan Allen, I'm excited to play against. White Chocolate, Jason Williams, who I grew up watching, with the Kings and with the Heat. How he plays still, I believe he has, I think he has a son. Edit this out if I'm incorrect, but I think he has a son that plays in high school, or is playing right now. So I'm sure he's able to spend a lot of time around the game in that way. And then Bacha, he's actually a very, very, very famous Indian singer, and to have him playing in this, Ranveer Singh, I believe, played recently as well. It would have been amazing to play against Ranveer Singh or be on the same team as Ranveer Singh. That's someone that I'm a fan of, just as someone that grew up watching Indian films when I was younger. So, I'm just very excited. I'm just honored to be on the court with all of these special people.
If you were to outline what skill set you bring to your team, how would you describe your gameplay?
So I grew up definitely being a shooter, but I just hope I look halfway decent. Honestly, I'm at a point now where I feel like I can dribble the ball a little bit, I can pass the ball a little bit, I can shoot the ball a little bit. But again, to me, like the shot looks good, but rhythm and rep is very important, and I haven't gotten a ton of that over the last several months. I have spent the last week though getting ready to ramp up. So ever since the trade deadline ended, I've been in the gym, getting workouts in, getting a lot of shots up, getting 200 makes in pretty much a day. So I'm just trying to make sure I get to a place where Thursday at practice, I'm able to gel with the team. Everyone's able to see that, hey, okay, we can trust Shams with the ball in his hand. We can trust him as a shooter. We can trust he'll make the smart decision. I'm not naive. I'm 5'9". I can't say I'm the best athlete in the world, but I feel like I can get my shot up. The NBA comp that I always give myself, and I could say Steph Curry and be very, very arrogant. I'm going to give myself Gennaro Pargo. If people really know basketball, Gennaro Pargo just very lights out score coming off the bench. But there's moments where he doesn't get opportunities, but when he does, he always makes a mark. So I think I'm very Gennaro Pargo esque, and we'll see if I'm able to catch my rhythm by Friday night.
What are you looking forward to most this Friday?
I think just being around a team environment and camaraderie, like and there's going to be part seriousness, part fun, part getting a chance to like be around all these people, see the dynamics between the coaches. Lethal Shooter, I believe, is one of the coaches as well. I think he's one of the coaches. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, that sounds
Yeah,
right.
he is. Yeah. Lethal Shooter is one of the coaches. Chris Brickley is one of the coaches. So, like, being around those guys, I think Anthony, reading this, Anthony Anderson, Mookie Betts is one of my coaches. So, I forgot to shout him out. I'm very excited to have him as a coach. I'm very, very interested to see how they divvy up their responsibilities. And, you know, uh, I mean, Lethal Shooter could probably play in the game, honestly. So could, any of these guys could just take their coaching gear off and just play in the game. So it's also going to be very fascinating to see if any of them gets the itch to actually play in the game.
And you've had some pretty cool experiences. You got to throw out the first pitch at a Cubs game before Sunday Night Baseball last year, and now you're playing in the Celebrity All-Star game. So you'll be on the field for two major league sports, essentially. So that's pretty cool for you.
No, I mean, it's amazing. Like throwing out the first pitch, again, another like bucket list dream item, something I never thought I'd do in my life. Be able to do that. I grew up a diehard Cubs fan. Wrigley Field was a sacred ground for me growing up. So to be able to throw the first pitch, before a game where we were having a pretty darn good season overall. So, and it was really early in the year when I threw out the first pitch. So hopefully I brought a little bit of good luck. But growing up a Cubs fan, nothing more exciting than that. And then this, thankfully, I'm obviously honored to be a part of this. I'm gonna soak it in as much as I can and hopefully look as good as I can possibly look on Friday night as well.
Shams, let's get into your career a little bit. When did you realize in your career time or in your life that you realized that you could make this a career about breaking news and getting inside and becoming an NBA insider?
So I started on this path really sophomore year. I got cut playing basketball, and for me, I had to figure out what my next path was. And I had two parents that were in the medical field. That was kind of always where I was being pushed, but I always was obsessed with basketball. I also got to have a great passion for writing. So, sophomore year, as I was writing a lot, still loved basketball, still kind of confused about my next path with basketball because I couldn't play anymore. I'm not going to be Michael Jordan getting cut sophomore year and then going to end up playing varsity or playing in the NBA, unfortunately. So I had to figure out my path. And sophomore year, my English teacher, a guy by the name of Dr. Reed, he said, "Why don't you try for the school newspaper? Why don't you write? You love basketball, you love writing, like combine these two passions." And that's what I ended up doing. And, I didn't come on the trek of breaking news and sourcing things and developing sources. That's something that just kind of came as time went on. I started out really as a writer, a features writer. By the time I was, senior year of high school, freshman year of college, I was starting to go cover games and put myself in the environment where, I can meet some people, have FaceTime with whether it's players, team people, agents. And from there, it just kind of grew. Like I started to develop a network. I started to develop, contacts. I would really cold call a lot of people, reach out to people that even to this day, I'm like, why did they even respond to me? Like I was a nobody. Like I was this young kid that was just reaching out, had no into the industry. But again, it's really about how you display yourself, how professional you are with people, how you treat people. Are you fair? Are you honest? Are you responsible? And I think all those things allowed other people that I now consider sources to look at me like, okay, like instead of asking how young is he or is he mature enough, it's like, okay, he brings a level of maturity to the table. Now let's see where this relationship can develop into. And I think that was probably something that helped me out early on. And I broke a couple stories early in my career, and I felt like the door kind of cracked open a little bit. And then from there, it's just about what you make of it. It's never about kind of, I think the door opening is about what you do when that door opens. Is there going to be a level of complacency, a level of like, okay, I've made it, I've arrived, or are you going to be continuing to push forward? And I think I definitely strived every single day to not rest on my laurels. It's like, I want to keep advancing and keep growing.
When you say you would cold call people, like, is that something you had to overcome? Because when you cold call someone, you open yourselves up to rejection, essentially, or just not being able to ever hear back from that person. Is that something you had to overcome at any point in time?
For whatever reason, and it might not be like this for anything else in my life or personal life, but like when it came to trying to develop sources and reaching out and cold calling and reaching out to people, I think I had like no conscience. I think that's the best way I would describe it. Like I feel like I was probably considered a nuisance to a lot of people. Like I would just reach out, and hopefully I've gotten better at that. But I definitely could see why early on in my career, I definitely wouldn't have much much of a feel for like what the right thing to do is, what the right approach is. I was like, hey, there are goals I want to have, there's stuff I want to get to, and how can I do that to the best of my ability? And there's never shortcuts. There's never a moment where you feel like, if I do this and this, like I'll get to this mountaintop or whatever. Like every day for me was just like, how do I develop more sources? How do I reach out to more people? How do I write really well? How do I continue to build on analysis stories and columns and features? Because that's really where I started. I would write 2 to 4,000 words a day when I was in high school. Like I was writing thousands and thousands of words, trying to build a voice, trying to build a template of production to where when it comes down to it, years down the line, I'm probably not writing as much, but I have my voice, and I'm able to develop when I need to, and allow myself to, if I want to then pursue news, or if I want to try to be better on TV, like I have these multiple ways because I have spent so much time, I think, developing my voice.
When do you think you found your voice?
You think when do
Yeah.
I think I found my voice?
Yeah. When did you
I mean,
think you
I,
found?
I I feel like it's ever growing. I feel like you never 100% feel like, hey, I know what I am, I know my voice. But I think once I got to Yahoo in 2015 to 2018, I feel like I started to really find my stride. Feel like I found my voice, or finding my voice. And I think when I got to The Athletic, the editors there, I think really challenged me, really helped me develop. They really challenged me to like write as much as possible, and really, really deep dive on different stories or behind the scenes on things. So the challenge that I had there was an editor by the name of Sergio Gonzalez there that like my first dinner with him, he challenged me so much to just write and get behind the scenes and really like it's not just about Twitter. It's how can we continue to develop the storytelling year round, and I'm appreciative from him greatly for that. And then getting to ESPN, working with this group, being able to work with a great staff, like the amount of talent that we have around me, I think allows me to continue to grow every single day. The editors are amazing to work with. So I think every step that I've made, every new place I've been at has allowed me to continue to grow and continue to find my voice.
You do appear across a plethora of different shows here on ESPN. You've been here almost 2 years now. How do you tailor yourself to different shows and different platforms on our networks here at ESPN?
I think it's just kind of bringing the same approach to everything, to every show, like being open minded, hearing out, having great rapport with the producers, with the talent,
Yeah.
and then from there, like figuring out what is best for each side, right? Like sometimes there might be a little bit more time to have banter and back and forth, and other times there could be like a short slot of 30 to 60 seconds or a minute minute and a half to like get your points across and have that Q&A with a talent. And then there's like the Pat McAfee show or Get Up or First Take, where there's going to be an extended period of time where there is going to be great back and forth. There's going to be great dialogue, and it's just figuring out what every show needs, what every show wants, whether it's SportsCenter, NBA Today, or NBA Countdown, or Inside the NBA, First Take, Pat McAfee show, and Get Up, and figure out exactly what everyone's desires are for the show, and kind of figuring out how that meshes with your reporting and what you want to accomplish.
You bring up Pat, and I absolutely love whenever you are on his show because
I get that a lot. I get that a
I
lot.
bet
I
you
think
do.
people like to see my personality. So
Yeah, it's something different, and you feel like you can get more out of it in a different way than sometimes you can in other places because it's more free flowing conversation. When did you realize that people do really love you when you go on that show, and how can Pat bring different things outside of just break it out of you that maybe sometimes it's tough for you to expand on difficult topics?
I think a lot of it is the host is a one of one, right? Like any host of programs, like you have to have a wherewithal with yourself. You have to be unique. You have to be different because you're setting talent up, and you're trying to get talent comfortable enough to be able to either get out of their comfort zone or to be able to share while still having like a level of fun, right? So I've been going on Pat's show since 2020, and I just love whenever I'm at a gym, or if I'm at a game, or if I'm out in the streets, or if I'm at an event, and someone will be like, "Man, I love watching you on the Pat McAfee show. Like I love watching you and McAfee," because that means that people love the banter, people love the back and forth, and a little bit of my personality. But what Pat is so great at is it's really so like he makes it so conversational, he makes it so comfortable, and at the end of the day, he's going to get to the information too. That's the thing. We're not just going to be we're going to have great back and forth and great dialogue, and he's going to make it comfortable, and the banter is going to be great. But within all of that, there's going to be information that he's going to be able to get out of me, and he's able to get me in position where I'm comfortable to share. So I'm appreciative of that, and I appreciate him making me look good and setting me up in a position where I feel comfortable enough to go on his show. But there's been a few people, going on, like when I first went on Colin Cowherd's show way, way, way back, almost a decade now. Like he was, I think, someone that made me feel comfortable. Kay Adams' show, like she made me feel really comfortable to kind of be myself and bring my personality out. And I think Pat is like a complete one of one person. Overall, like there's never going to be anyone like Pat McAfee.
Shams, before we get to the Fast Five round, last week was a trade deadline. Can you just give the people some insight? What does your week look like? How much sleep do you get? What does your screen time on your phone look like? I can't imagine how much sleep you actually get. So can you walk us through kind of what your schedule looked like last week for the fans?
So to the screen time question, I think we hovered mostly around between 18 to 20 hours, 20 plus hours throughout the, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's kind of the range we're looking at. And then I would say what my week looks like, I think, yeah, I mean, there's not a ton of sleep, but I think that goes for everyone that's involved with the trade deadline, whether it's the folks in LA that are doing the shows out of LA. I was in Bristol. I had Dominique Collins with me, kind of my producer on the ground working in Bristol. We were pretty much logging 2 to 3 a.m. sleep nights, and then waking up by 5:30, 6 a.m. to be ready for the 7 a.m. Sports Center. So it's quick turnarounds Monday to Thursday, but that's to be expected. I did the trade deadline last year as well from Bristol. So to be able to get that rhythm, to have someone so great as Dominique Collins, like make sure that all I literally have to focus on is getting up and going to sleep and then the work, right? And she makes sure everything else is buttoned up. So I'm appreciative of that. And then we had a great social staff. ESPN Social was 100% on it throughout the week, having graphics and things lined up for us, which was great. We had people on the ground there helping out. So, they made my life easier, which allows me to just do the work. But at the end of the day, like you're not going to wake up trade deadline week and like figure out the puzzle. The puzzle is starting to develop from the first game of the NBA season. So for me, I have all the different pieces on the puzzle board, and then you're kind of just playing with it throughout the whole year. And then that trade deadline week, you're putting it together. If you're just getting to the puzzles on the week of the deadline, you're already a step behind. You're already out of the game. You're so far behind. So I feel like all the work being done to the lead up helped me to understand where the chips may land. And there's always going to be different wild cards. James Harden going to the Cavs, a wild card. Anthony Davis going to the Wizards, a wild card. A lot of the other stuff you're able to have the chess pieces and the puzzle pieces already in motion.
Yeah, that's a really good breakdown. This is my favorite part of any interview I do is the Fuse Fast Five. It's 5 quick questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Shams, when you wake up, what's the first app you open on your phone?
I would go iMessage for sure and the Twitter app.
Okay.
iMessage for the texts that I've missed while I've been sleeping and people that I have to respond to, and Twitter to see if what else is going on, not only in the NBA world but just overall in society. Some other apps I look at: New York Times, ESPN, obviously, my email app, but that's kind of the rundown.
Do you remember a time when you woke up and like how many text messages have you ever had at one point when you woke up? Like, is there an enormous number of missed texts that you had when you woke up one time?
Yeah, there's always different moments. Like I remember one time Kawhi Leonard got traded at like 3 in the morning from the Spurs to the Raptors. This is after summer league. I want to say it's like in the July 18th, 20 range.
Yeah.
And I actually went to sleep on my couch. It was like 12 a.m. and I just knocked out. I must have been tired, like coming back from Vegas, whatever. And I wake up at 2 a.m. Central Time. And my phone, I have like 20 texts, like 5 missed calls, and I'm like, something just happened. And I go through my texts, and it's about Kawhi going to Toronto for DeMar DeRozan. I'm like, holy sh! And I look at Twitter. It's not on Twitter. I'm like, wow, okay. And then from there, I'm just grinding. I'm like, first of all, thank God it's not out there, but now I got to like get to it. And by the time I get the confirmation, I want to say maybe 45, 60 minutes go by. I put it out, and that night is going to be a long night. So it's really moments like that. It happens every now and then where like you're either it's just human nature. You knock out, and you wake up to a bunch of texts, and so you don't want it to happen that much, but that's definitely one of the moments that stands out for me.
Kind of goes into the second one, an NBA news day you'll never forget.
I think everyone that would expect me to answer this would think I would say Luka Dončić getting
Yeah,
traded from the
that's what I would
Mavericks
do.
to the Lakers. And I do think that's up there. And I do think that is probably what everyone thinks. But Rudy Gobert, when he tested positive for COVID-19 in 2020, I think that there was I think that was in March. I want to say March 11th or 10th. There was that had such a domino effect on not only the NBA but society at large. And I just remember that COVID year. That's not something that I went to school working to cover. That's not something that any I think NBA reporters like, okay, like let me go to school to like go cover this event that's happening. And at the time, I think I was 25 years old. And so to be able to like I reported when Rudy Gobert tested positive and like reporting on the shutdown of the NBA and all the stories that took place between March and when the league resumed in July. I mean, that's not something that I ever thought I would have to cover. But being a professional is being ready for the moment, and that's got to be up there for me in terms of just what it meant to society.
When you look in your phone contacts, if you could choose anyone from those contacts to host a podcast with, who would you choose and why?
This is tough. This is super, super tough. I'll go with Mark Cuban, or Michael Rubin. I think Mark Cuban because I grew up loving to watch Shark Tank, and so like just even having full on shows about business, I would actually enjoy because I would just ask Mark a bunch of questions, and then Michael Rubin. He's seen and done everything in sports, and now he's in the memorabilia space, and what Fanatics is doing. So probably one of them just because they've seen all these different lenses, and so be able to like talk with multiple different, like you can bring them to any sector of any field.
Well, I would listen to either of those. Those are great options. Craziest place you've ever broken a story?
Man, that's it happens more frequently in the shower than one would expect. Another moment that stands out to me, there's plenty of these, right? When you're on a plane and you're trying to struggle for Wi-Fi, whatever. There was a moment I was with my family. I think it was like 2018 or 2019, maybe 2017 or somewhere in that range. But there was a player signing an extension, and we were at the Grand Canyons, the mountains. And I remember we're like going into the mountains. There were shuttles back and forth. We're going into the mountains, and I got a text that this extension was about to happen. And we get to the Grand Canyon mountains, and that area. From the parking lot to there. There's just not much Wi-Fi. Period. And so I'm like, I don't know what. I'm either going to lose this story completely, or I'm gonna have to pull a rabbit out of my hat. So I just started asking a bunch of people, "Where's internet? Where's internet?" And they said, "Listen, you can take a shuttle to like this library. I don't know, 10, 15 minutes away. It's kind of in that, the middle of everything there, away from the Grand Canyons, but around that area."
Yeah.
And I ended up going there. And it's just, I don't know if it's like, I'm sure it's way more advanced now. I'm not throwing shade at the library at the Grand Canyon mountains. I'm sure it's way more advanced now. But back then, you have to put in Ethernet cords and you're struggling. Like you're not on 5G, I'll say that. You're on basically modem 3G internet. I don't know even know what it was in that time, about 10 years ago. So that to me was one where I'm like scratching and clawing. My whole family is the Grand Canyons, no connection for them. I'm in this library trying to break this extension. So that probably stands out to me.
That's a great story. And then Shams, the last one for you. What's one non-NBA topic you could talk for hours?
That's a great, great question. Um, Non-NBA basketball. I think honestly, I don't know if it's still true today, but I had an obsession with fantasy baseball. I loved baseball. I loved the MLB. I loved being a general manager of a fantasy baseball team. I took that religiously. And I think that was another pastime for me in late middle school and high school, where if I wasn't writing, if I wasn't watching NBA games, I was obsessing over fantasy baseball and making trades, setting my lineups on a daily basis. It was fun for me. I lived and breathed it every single day, like I do what I do now. But once I realized, like sophomore, junior year, that like that's kind of fading, and like this is what I'm really living and breathing. I can't like half it. I had to kind of let that passion go. But I think people would kind of be surprised. Like I had Brian McCann, Evan Longoria, Roy Halladay, rest in peace. Like I would obsess over my fantasy baseball team.
Well, it's that time of year, so you can always decide if this is the year you want to jump back into it. This is the time to pick up fantasy
Shout
baseball.
out Jeff Passan. Shout out Jeff Passan. Maybe I'll hit him up and see if he's got a league I can join.
That's right. Well, Shams, this is so much fun. Thanks again for joining. I know this is a crazy week for you. Best of luck Friday night. I'll be watching, and best of luck. Kill it.
I'm excited. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you.